makes our work a little more easy and more efficient to have those kind of relationships in place. So I'm going to give you a little high-level update on what we're doing on the fire, excuse me, flood. I'm used to fires. I'll start off with damage assessments. So the state of Montana Disaster and Emergency Services has had two teams out today doing damage assessments in Troy. And tomorrow they're going to have three teams doing damage assessments here in Libby. They brought people in from Florida and Colorado as well as Montanans doing the damage assessments. And one of the goals of damage assessments is to see if damages meet the threshold for a federal disaster declaration. So that's what they're doing. They'll be out again tomorrow. Speaking of damage assessments, they're working on public infrastructure only with these damage assessments. So that's roads, bridges, and culverts. We've reopened 5 roads from yesterday, and there's still about 10 to 12 that are closed that we'll be working on and doing damage assessments on. I also want to note that this isn't in Libby, but in Bull River there's an active flood fight occurring right now, and that's near the Ross Creek Cedars Bridge. It's threatened, and so if we lose that bridge, then the people that live on the other side of that bridge are not going to be able to drive across the bridge. However, they've proven very resilient, and they've been boating across the river. So that's just, I think, a testament to Montana resilience. I love it when we go out to places and people find solutions. They might not be perfect solutions, they're not as good as the roads, but they're finding solutions to their problems. And the more resilient citizens can be, the more efficient we can be with our response efforts. So we don't have to use a resource here because somebody's taking care of this, and we can move that resource to over here. And that comes a lot from neighbors helping neighbors, in that case, with people taking each other across the river. So good on them for that, I believe. Messaging. I'm a public information officer, so I've been working on the messaging. We've been putting out social media posts. I did 6 media interviews today, 5 Montana outlets and 1 national outlet. Topics for messaging include the Lower Flower Creek Diversion Dam, which I'll talk a little bit about later. Local resources available, the shelter that the Red Cross has opened, and 3 stand locations with sandbags that are open here in Libby. The damage assessments, we also have a QR code for people to self-report damages to their private property, and that information will go back to the state of Montana, and that will help them determine the scope and scale of private property damage, which could potentially lead to some financial assistance. It's called individual assistance. However, in my experience, it is extremely unlikely that will happen for a disaster of this size. You see more of that in hurricanes and things like that. When Missoula experienced the windstorm last year, we had a lot of damage, and it didn't come anywhere close enough for individual assistance, but it did meet the public assistance threshold as determined by those damage assessments that I just mentioned. Should you get a federal declaration, it's often a 75-25 match with the federal folks doing the 75%. The 25% can usually be in soft match or hard match. The soft match can be volunteer hours, so we're also encouraging all volunteer hours to be recorded in a way that FEMA likes to see them recorded. I don't know what the current rate for volunteer hours, but it is today. But a couple years ago, it was about $30 an hour. So it gets big pretty quickly, and that's pretty helpful. Red Cross, they opened the shelter I mentioned before. The shelter has not seen a lot of people come in to stay there, and that's typical of Montana. In all my times here in disasters, you usually don't see more than 1 or 2 families in a shelter. However, they're also acting as a point of distribution for water, and they've given away a lot of water. We have a lot of bottled water in Libby right now, and the Red Cross is giving it out all over the place. Should there become an issue with the municipal water system, I don't want to talk about that yet. Should the storm that's coming in create power outages, that would be a good place to put a recharging location. We've done that in other places that have experienced power outages, especially helpful for people with durable medical or reliant upon powered medical devices. So that's pretty handy. Speaking of that, let's talk about the weather for a second. So we've got more rain coming, as I believe we all know. We've also got some damaging winds potentially coming with gusts of 60 to 70 miles an hour Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. And the concern there is more with the wind than it is with the rain. The rain is not forecast to raise the river levels to above flooding, but the wind can be very damaging, and when wind damage occurs, it goes up in a curve like this, not a nice smooth curve like that. And so if we get trees down, we're going to have roads blocked, and that'll affect emergency response, and it could result in those power outages I was just talking about. So we're preparing for that. The longevity of our team's time here, we think, is probably largely dependent on how we get through this weather event in the next couple of days. So we would encourage all individuals and families to prepare for that as much as possible as well. We have talked about opening a multi-agency resource center and determined that we don't need it yet, but we're going to assess and reassess the need for it at any time. A multi-agency resource center is a place where community organizations active in disasters, so your nonprofits, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, whatever nonprofits you have in Libby, and other organizations can come in and offer help to people that might need their homes mucked out because they've been flooded. This is pretty helpful to folks. So we talked about that. We're holding that in our pocket in case we need it. Now for the Lower Flower Creek Diversion Dam. Here's some pictures of it. I'll show you in a minute, but I just want to read a report that I got from the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation. So the DNRC administers dam safety, floodplain management, and community assistance programs for Montana communities. The Lower Flood Creek Diversion Dam is owned by the City of Libby. After damage was reported to the structure following the recent flooding, the city and the DNRC's dam safety program coordinated inspection of the diversion structure by licensed engineers with expertise in dam safety. Engineers on site reported that damage was due to seepage along the structure's side and increased water levels, resulting in internal erosion. Engineers and construction crews took actions on the evening of December 14th to lower the dam's water level. Additional work was conducted on the morning of December 15th to stabilize the damaged area. By reducing the water level in the reservoir and stabilizing the damaged area, the risk of failure was reduced, diminishing downstream impacts, and ensuring the municipal water supply was not impacted long-term. Engineers will continue to be on site and monitor the situation. So that's good news. But I don't think that's over yet. We're going to have to see how this storm coming in affects it, and it's a dam that I think might need some maintenance in the future. So with that, I'll show you some pictures of what the problem we're talking about is.
Double tap.
There we go. So this is it's commonly called a boil. It's where water is Sam, you can probably describe this better than I can, but.
It's like an artesian well. What happened was the northern wall was sitting up above it, probably about 25 feet in elevation above it. The water came over, it completely saturated all the soil in the retaining bank around it. So now what happens is that water has found a clear way to come down. It hits some type of obstruction and pop back up, so it's boiling out of the water. By reducing the amount of water in the lower reservoir, it reduced the pressure on that boil, because it's allowed to get that continuous run through there. It can actually undermine that whole bank and risk the stabilization of that northern wall blasting out.
Okay, thank you. So that's on the, looking downstream, that's on the left side of the structure.
And Nick, that has been sandbagged and stabilized.
Okay, thanks.
That was done today.
I forgot to mention that. So here's the structure, and here's another area, problematic area. Sorry. And we've had people up there looking at the dam all through the course of this. There's more problematic area. So worst case scenario, if the dam were to fail, we have inundation maps. That's not in anticipation of the dam failing. All dams have inundation maps. But I'm going to show you what some of them look like. So there is the Lower Flower Creek Reservoir. And that's the depth. So this is about 6 to 14 feet right in the center there. Downstream a little bit, more of the same. You're not into homes, you're starting to get close to homes. So 3, now we're starting to get a little bit closer. So now we're getting into more homes, right? So we're at a depth of 2 to 6 feet here, through there, and then 0 to 2 feet. We don't know that this is going to happen. That's an engineer's best interpretation of the depth, as the mayor and I talked about earlier. The accuracy of it can only be known when the event would actually occur.
And Nick, one thing I could add to that, if everybody's starting to think, oh my God, 2 feet, 6 feet, this was calculated using 24 acre feet of water with the reduction of 2.5 foot of the head itself, the pressure in that dam. I would probably venture to say we're down to 4 acre feet of water, which is nothing off compared to what this map was created off of.
Thanks for that, Sam. I could never have remembered to say that. That's scary. So yes, it is scary, but remember it's the worst case scenario. Final one. So you've got 0 to 2 feet throughout downtown. I don't know how much damage that would do. It certainly would do damage. How catastrophic that would be, I don't know. But we're looking at that. We're assessing. We've been continuously assessing the condition of the dam, and we'll continue to do that. So that's where that stands right now. That's all I have for a report out right now. Any questions, or I don't know if you guys are supposed to ask questions.
The council have any questions? Okay, I'm going to tell the public that they have questions to come and talk to you personally over in the Ponderosa room.
Yep.
To answer the public questions.
Be glad to.
Okay, and I don't know if Steve and or Floyd have anything to say.
One last thing I think I forgot to mention. We are developing a website that will be part of the Lincoln County Emergency Management website. And it's going to have a page that is a specific disaster landing page. It's basically going to have frequently asked questions. So we're trying to anticipate every question that members of the public would want to know information on, and put the information on this page. And it's going to be a living document. I've already created the content. We're just working on the back end of it right now. I'm hoping it'll be done tomorrow. but it's gonna be a living document, it's gonna be updated, while we're here and hopefully after we're here. So we'll point all the social media and everybody to that document to look at things, because when we do things like this, we have a concern with what's called version control. And if we get 2 versions, 3 versions, 4 versions, 5 versions of something like this out in the public, 3 of those 4 are gonna be incorrect. So that's why we want this to be the only official source of disaster information related to this incident. And it's a little easier to search than Facebook, what we've been using so far.
Is the EOC number still active?
I believe the EOC
The EOC number, if anybody would like it, it's 293-6295. Even at night, what they're doing is forward it on, so somebody will be there to answer that phone. I'm not sure how much longer it'll last, but it should be a few more weeks, Boyd, while the EOC is standing.
That is the phone number for the emergency management office in general, so it'll only be manned to an extent.
Okay.
Call volume is decreased on that EOC number, and so we'll keep that going until it makes sense to stop doing it. Call volume is how we judge that wherever we go. And it's a good thing when call volume goes down. But another reason we do the call center and the EOC number is it helps us collect the information that people are asking about, and it helps inform the information that will be on that disaster landing page I just mentioned. Okay.
Thank you. I do have a question.
Thank you.
I do have one question. So on the map that you're showing with the water coming into downtown Libby, that pertains to the main dam that is not having a problem right now?
No, that's the lower Flower Creek dam. That's the small.
It's the diversion.
Diversion.
To answer that, the upper dam itself, I was physically on the dam yesterday myself. We're running about 2 inches over the primary spillway, and the upper dam itself contains on average about between 240 and 248 acre feet of water. This modeling was done off of DNRC. They wanted to pop it out real quick based on 24 cubic acre foot of water, not cubic foot, acre foot of water. And with the reduction now, we're down to 4 would be stretching it.
So that map's overkill.
This map was
Yes.
created prior to the DNRC coming in and reducing the head pressure by 2.5 foot across that pre-sedimentation basin or the reservoir.
What we're using it for is, should we anticipate a dam failure, that would be the evacuation zone.
Right, so you're just using it for the zone, not for water depth and things.
Not totally. We're not discounting it totally either. But the bigger reservoir that you were talking about, I want to go back to that for a second. As I understand it, there is no threat to that reservoir
Right.
whatsoever. It's a newer reservoir.
Right, I just wanted to be sure that we were very clear that the Flower Creek Dam has no problems
It's a
right now.
big one.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that. Okay.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking your time to come over and update us on
Thank you.
this.